Coming up in this episode of Sailing Safar, I have a beautiful morning sunrise sail. I get myself a little confused.
What do you have? Cattle? Pride?
And I consider challenging the IMOCA class sailing yachts with Safar. In last week's episode, I dropped anchor in the secluded waiting ground outside of Marmanor. We pick up this week after an early morning departure en route to Alicante.
Good morning. As you can see, we are sailing. Got a little bit of breeze. We're on a nice broad reach, and we're making 5.6, 5.5 knots, and we're just sailing up the Spanish coast towards Alicante. I think that was my impression of a Spanish accent. I'm not really sure. Aries is steering, which is great. Always really nice to have the Aries steer the boat. They've been together for so long, it just, it makes sense. It's a good partnership. One thing that you see a lot of here, in fact we'll go have a look at the chart, is fish farms all the way up the coast. And yeah, it's, I don't know, the idea of it's not very nice, I guess, but you can see here these are all big fish farms. And then over in the distance there's two sort of maintenance vessels. So I guess they're craning the fish off and loading them up. I'm not really sure how it works, but I don't know if you can hear it, but the sound of sailing, just that noise of rushing water across the hull is yeah, it's beautiful. It's interesting, the area we anchored in last night, Marmanor, yeah, it's quite a strange place, but one thing I noticed, and maybe someone can explain why, pop it in the comments, but when I dropped the anchor and I went down below, it sounded like the hull was fizzing, almost like bubbles were hitting the hull, I guess. I couldn't see anything obvious in the water, but it just didn't stop. It was like that all night. It just sounded like a crackly sort of fizzling noise. So yeah, quite strange. I was sort of hoping it's not my copper coat coming off, or half expecting to wake up and my propellers dissolved away or something, but through like electrolysis. But no, I'm not sure what it was. Maybe there's just air coming up from below or something. I'm not sure. But yeah, if you have any ideas on what that could be, please let me know. You can see Safar is looking every bit a good sea boat. I have to admit, like right now when everything's all golden in the sunrise, it's what a time to be alive. It is beautiful. The breeze is increasing, which is good. Interesting, 16 knots of apparent wind then, so that's plenty. That's all we need. Safar's trucking along nicely, around 6 knots. So yeah, I couldn't ask for better conditions right now. It's perfect, and it's also blowing off the land. So it means that the swell height is, obviously very low, because there's no fetch for it to build up a big sea when it's blowing off the land. So it's nice and calm as well, but with a decent breeze. So perfect conditions. Well, the wind's filling in now. That's what we needed. Boat is romping along. It's like I was going to say a fleet of horses, but that's obviously the wrong word. I have a fleet of horses. What do you have? Cattle? Pride? I'm sure there's a word. Yeah, we are trucking now. I guess we're getting sort of close to reef territory, really, but we're making such good speed. She doesn't feel like she's struggling with it, so for the time being we'll just keep it up. If it starts to blow up a bit more, then sure, we'll put a reef in. But yeah, for the moment it's all good. So we'll just enjoy a jolly good sail so far. All right, so about to make our sort of final course change. So we've got an east cardinal here, so we're just going to round that, staying to the east, and then we're going to harden up on the wind and see how high we can point, see if we can make it up towards Alicante. It's actually not that marina, it's this one. So yeah, you see the wind directions here, so it should be fine. And then the east cardinal, I don't know if this will come out on the camera, but it is right there, about 500 meters out. So to do that, we're going to give the Aries, let's give it 4 tugs. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then as we start to come up, we'll just take in on the sheets. Okay, that's all looking good. Wind's coming forwards of the beam. East cardinal. I think we can come up a bit higher than that. But we'll just let the Aries figure it out for a minute first, and then give it a couple more pumps.
After rounding the east cardinal, the wind became very confused and came from all directions, bringing Safar off course, but after a while it steadied, and I put Safar on the starboard tack and back on course.
So weird how shifty the wind has been here. It's almost like sailing on a lake. I guess the Mediterranean kind of is a lake compared to the ocean.
As I made my final approach towards Alicante, I dropped the sails, dug out the fenders, and got my mooring lines ready. We're just heading into Alicante port now. Some interesting stuff here by the looks of it. You see there's a what looks like it should be a ship of the line over there, but it's demasted, and looking at it, I mean, it doesn't even look like it would take a broadside from me, let alone HMS Victory. So I imagine it's just like a film prop or a movie prop or something. And then yeah, over the starboard side there's a whole fleet of racing boats, foiling boats by the looks of it. So what that's about, I'm not quite sure, but we'll check it out. It turned out I'd arrived in Alicante just in time for the opening ceremony of the ocean race. To be fair, they all look pretty fast, but I fancy my chances in a good blow. Should probably concentrate on coming into this marina. After calling the marina on Channel 9, I was advised to come to the welcome dock first to present my boat papers. They also asked if I could make payment up front. Perhaps they thought I was going to do a runner. Once I was checked in, I was then assigned a berth and made my way to it. As you can see, it was much tighter than I expected. After spending a few days immersing myself in culture, it was time to get back on the water. This is probably a silly idea, but it's the start of the ocean race, which is what used to be the Whitbread race back in the 80s. It's quite breezy. Getting out of the marina was a little tricky, and it is very busy. Lots of boats coming out. But it's just too good of an opportunity to see these incredible IMOCA sailing boats. So yeah, we're heading out in Safar, and we'll go wave them off at the start. So yeah, if you're watching it on TV, yeah, then maybe I'll appear. I'll probably be that boat that's got his coal regs wrong, and I end up fouling someone at the start. But no, we'll just try to stay well clear of it and keep ourselves out of trouble, but enjoy it from a distance. The ocean race is dubbed as one of sailing's most grueling races, with professional sailing teams competing against each other to race around the world in various stages. During the race, the sailors receive a variety of conditions, with temperatures from -14 going as high as 40 degrees Celsius. Most crews are only allowed to take one change of clothes with them for each leg of the race. These incredible machines can achieve speeds in excess of 30 knots. Look at that mainsail! I probably should have asked my friend that built my sails for one like that with a big square top. Wow, that's awesome. As the race start drew near, the water became increasingly busy. Not ideal conditions to be manoeuvring a long keel boat in, that's for sure. with the race underway, I decided it was time to return to the marina. Well, I'm back. I'm all tied up after our little adventure for the ocean race. So it was the one time that I didn't actually film myself bringing the boat back into port. I just figured perhaps you guys have seen enough of that, so I didn't bother doing it, but I really should have done, because I had some problems. So it's very gusty today, very windy, and as I was coming in there was probably about 20 knots, and as you can see it's a very tight berth. So anyway, because the wind was blowing me, I thought on this occasion I'd use the bow thruster, which is normally something I don't do. Not that I'm against it. I'm all for anything that can make your life easier, then why not use it? But yeah, on this occasion I thought I would use the bow thruster just to help myself in. And the moment I pressed it, as I was just coming in and just when I needed it, the little switch fell off straight in my fingers, bang. So I didn't get any thrust. Luckily I managed just to give it a good hit of revs to straighten myself up before I leapt the shore with my lines. But yeah, it just goes to show you that it is great to have these things, these aids, but you certainly shouldn't rely on them, because when you most need them, sometimes yeah, they let you down. That, and I've probably got bloody big clumsy butterfingers to break this off, but never mind. If you enjoyed this episode, then give it a thumbs up and drop me a comment below if you have any questions.